it's a symptom of a greater system that took over. Usis Lindiwe, in her opening, she mentions legislation. I mean, quite frankly, there's a lot of legislation. We have the Employment Equity Act. We have the King 4 as a guiding document around fairness and good governance.
Yeah.
But it is lacking when it comes to implementation. Why is that? Why are we not seeing a marriage and a fully fledged encompassing of this legislation that supports equality and equity?
Remember, Nomfundo, that if somebody has been in power or if a system has been in operation for a long time, any change that you bring about, it will be resisted. So there is evident resistance coming from the male counterparts to let go of power. One, to believe that women deserve equally as much.
Welcome to the World Gospel Impact Church Talk Show. Nomfundo, the dazzling one. Xaba. Can you tell I'm excited? Well, that's because what we're talking about today, I think it's been a long time coming. And I'm looking specifically to the gentleman on my left because, perpetrator much? If you're watching us on YouTube, hey, why don't you just give us a thumbs up? Subscribe and also click on the notification bell. And of course, to our Facebook viewers, we want to see you again. So like and share this video so you can help us build our online community. Well, today we zone in on the 65 to 77 cents that women earn for every R1 a man earns doing the exact same job. It's the gender pay gap, and it's not a new phenomenon. In fact, Professor Bosch actually noted as something that is causing us not to reach the gender equality measure in South Africa. So it's causing us to be stagnant. I think it's high time we have this conversation. And joining me to discuss is Usis Lindiwe. We also have Usis Mpumelelo and Oboti Mpumelelo. No relation, no twinship happening between the two of you, yes?
Not.
No.
Well, we don't know.
All right. It's uncomfortable to be confronted with such a thing. I mean, considering one, that South Africa is placed at number 1 on the Gender Equality Index. And then you look at the global percentage of the gender pay gap, and we're sitting with between 23 to 35%. That's a lot, considering the global percentage is 20%. Why is that? I need to start with the gentleman. Why are we seeing this trend?
Sure. I think there's a lot that contributes to this issue.
Yeah.
Firstly, just bluntly, I mean, the world we live in was created by straight men who are white. And if they create a system and a framework, obviously, those who follow in that system and framework will have to say yes to that system and framework with all the nitty-gritties of that framework. And that's how it started. And for now, that's all I'll say.
No, stop being so evasive. Talking about just it being a trend, Sis Lindiwe, is it something ANC across the board on all levels of employment? How deep is the problem?
I like the way you started, and I like your question. In my point of view, I think, or I believe, since we keep touching on colonialism, we keep touching on the systems of apartheid, the systems of slavery, we keep touching of the systems that we so not like to speak about, and it's the systems that were imposed on countries when ngalesikhathi I think amazwe kudala ayehamba lawa ayesicolonizer ayezofuna ingcebo of that country for themselves. So we tend ukuthi sithi shy away again, I like that word. Then sizitshela ukuthi thina sokwazi ukuyilungisa lapha la isiqala khona kanti it's not the root cause. Then you find out ukuthi indlela eyangena ngayo like i-system izongena ngendlela yalelizwe elan-colonize. Ilona elizoletha ama-laws, ama-legislations alo, azoletha even i-judiciary izosebenzisa ubuzwe bakhona nama-laws of izwe, like izwe lisicolonizile thina, siyalazi ngeke sisabe ukulisho. Kodwa asisebenzisanga sithe mase sithatha over thina sangabe sisabheka-ke ezinye izinto-ke sibe siyi-diverse community as we are in South Africa.
I like how you put it, that it's a symptom of a greater system that took over. Usis Lindiwe, in her opening, she mentions legislation. I mean, quite frankly, there's a lot of legislation. We have the Employment Equity Act. We have the King 4 as a guiding document around fairness and good governance. But it is lacking when it comes to implementation. Why is that? Why are we not seeing a marriage and a fully fledged encompassing of this legislation that supports equality and equity?
Remember, Nomfundo, that if somebody has been in power or if a system has been in operation for a long time, any change that you bring about it will be resisted. So there is evident resistance coming from the male counterparts to let go of power, one, to believe that women deserve equally as much, second one. Thirdly, to lose the concept in their minds that women are emotional beings that still belong in the kitchen. So all those things have to decay in order for us to start to see the change that clearly in black and white is there. Rightfully, as you are saying, all the laws in South Africa, our constitution is taken as one of the best in the world, and our regulations and all of that articulate a number of very, very important things that if you read on paper, as you lift your eyes up, you're expecting to see an equal society, an equal pay, and all of that. But that's not what you see, because the powers that be are resisting the change.
Why is it taking us so long? If the legislation is so beautiful and if it's so well put and explained, why is it difficult for us to overcome? Is society to blame for what we see play out in corporate?
I don't think people or civil society should be blamed.
Okay.
Civil society is, we live in a state.
Yeah.
And the state is run in a particular way. People who initiate the state know what they're doing when they initiate the state, with all its traditions and laws, etc. So the people should really incentivize corporate. It's the government. Society, a few weeks ago on Twitter, there was a tweet that was going around saying black people aren't angry enough. The same applies to this case.
Yeah.
I think women deserve equal pay. I think women are angry, and rightfully so. When you look at what's happening in America or just outside of South Africa, one of the best CEOs who's running a chip-making company right now has grown the company 7-fold.
Wow.
The CEO of PepsiCo, former CEO of PepsiCo, was a woman. She turned around PepsiCo into what it became globally today. But still, you still find that women in corporate are still looked at as beings who, as Mamyeni said, who are really emotional, who can't reason, who are illogical. And the question that you have to ask is, who's been running the world for the past, I don't know how many years, and how many wars have we had in those many years?
Brilliant question. That's a very good question.
I like what you're presenting to us, as women, have we been accepting, Sis Lindu? Have we been too trusting, because even when it comes to remuneration packages, that information is kept private.
Yeah.
Private so that we don't see that you are underpaying me?
I'd like to start ngokuphendula ngithi, I think there is a lot of work we need to do in terms of not defining, but being realistic about the concept of other things, the way the things happen. Sithe the constitution yase South Africa is amongst the best.
Yes.
Sase siyayithatha sithi okay that's it savalisile kuyo. Asangabe sabheka ukuthi it's work in progress, this is just the beginning. Bese sangakwazi ukuthi siphinde sibuye because it is as beautiful as it is njengeduku lakho because of our diversity. Khumbula ukuthi lana we have the race yama coloreds, which is a diverse society on its own. And iy'nkolelo zakhona ziningi zihlukene. Ayizuba affect ngendlela efanayo nathi thina ndlu yakithi. Thina ndlu yakithi sithe ukuba broader kakhulu in terms of culture nalaba basendiya abomdabu. Because culture yethu inayi element inyana yokuthi umuntu wesifazane uyinto nje. Then sithi noma sesifikile ke spiritually, since we Christian based conversations, sibe singabe sakwazi ukuyihlukanisa indaba yokuthi umuntu wesifazane in creation, both male and female, God created them in the image of God. Bese singayi elaborate further. Sesifikile ke sontweni and it goes deep. Siyeke ke leyo. Bese ke ilentozana yethu mase sikhandele kanjalo sangabe sisakhumbula ukuthi umuntu wesifazane ubenga exist as ubhuti kaDesha. Umsebenzi wakhe nje ubungekho culturally, socially, how we define women, culturally how we define women, even in the church, and it affects us even in the church because sifuna ukuthi umuntu wesifazane abe nespace sakhe. Uyabona where now nangu nalo so mangaka ama enemies ngiyayithanda le example yesithombe ukuthi umuntu wesifazane in the world of today uthe safunda uyafunda ngapha uyahamba ekhaya uyowenza ama gender roles akhe, no problem, but ukufunda ngizofunda ngibe good academically, but then ngisacindezelwe yileya system endala vele one. Now I split myself into my gender roles at home. Vela wami ngizowenza vela nginankinga or ngizowa delegate to all aunt.
Let's talk about that
understand?
further, the multi-layeredness
Yes.
of a woman's role in society, but as sort of a support to the dominating male figure. And I think you put it correctly when you said a lot of systems that were created were to favor the straight white man.
Yeah.
And I'm asking this because my next question is this. Do we see a trend that mirrors, because of the gender pay gap, equally so, opportunities of leadership within these corporate structures are also far in between for women?
Yeah, Nomfundo, I think perhaps I just want to differ with a small point with what was said, which took ukungamboni umuntu wesifazane back to our culture, and I want to say that is not true. The culture of umuntu omnyama respects a woman. A woman has a role, and a woman is protected when it comes to our culture. Women and children are become the reason why men would actually suit up for war and go out there to protect what is theirs.
I like
but
this debate.
I want to come to the fact that
I
it's not
think I have
our
to
culture,
elaborate
but it
further
is
on
the
it,
culture
not
of
that
those
view.
that came with the corporate world. Now, if you look at them and how they treated their women and how they treated and how they thought of women is different to what an African society views women as.
Can we agree to say culture is a very fluid thing, and for what was foreign to us, we've then adopted as practice
foreign
systems
culture,
for
yes.
forming a foreign culture.
Yeah.
Okay, Sissy.
Back
just
because I know it can be a lengthy
it was
discussion.
in relation to wages and work.
And work,
in our
yes.
culture, women bebengai
Understood completely.
Totally
Not as in like in the respect of.
I want us to.
Totally
I don't want
understood.
us to miss the opportunity of
Yeah.
getting into this management positions in corporate and its relation to the gender pay gap.
Yeah, I think that it is a, what can I say? Women entered the corporate space late. That's one of the things that we need to start understanding. When women entered the corporate space, they entered for other reasons other than the management reasons.
Sure.
We entered for roles of taking care, cleaning the space, making sure people have eaten if they need to eat. So all of that, now women start to say, but I can use a computer, I can make management decisions. They're bound to raise ears and eyes of those that have had the privilege to go up those ladders.
Yeah.
And as those rise, it's then to say, we are now wanting to test that, are you even capable? And the shocking discovery is that you are capable and even better
Yeah.
Can do a better job.
at it.
Yeah,
So
true.
now, how do we pay you is a bizarre question to me, because should it even be there, because the role is exactly the same, of what is happening?
Yeah. Are we holding ourselves back by this inequality around
As women.
As
I
people,
can't speak for women.
as people, as people, because I'm looking at the gender, pay gap. It puts women in the back seat or the back burner, but considering that women in general in society are running homes, are running families, are we putting ourselves back in that regard?
I think studies have shown that economies that are pro-women, they grow much quicker.
Yeah.
Number one, whether you pay women more because of the economic cycles, or just because of the type of people or type of insights that women have. So yes, we definitely are holding a society back as a whole by saying, women shouldn't earn more, because earning impacts the economy, the cycle of money.
Yes.
It impacts women socially. Women start believing stories about themselves that aren't true, again, because we place value on money, etc. And just three things that are popping up in my head right now. The workplace and corporate is mainly based around three things. The first one is the type of work that is being done.
Correct.
And the job spec, etc., etc. It favors men.
Technical skills.
Technical. Well, I mean, we can argue, it favors men
Definitely
for the most
technical
part.
skills.
Yeah.
Even technical skills, yes. And then the second part, so it's work, it's socially. Women have been socialized to believing that they are less than. Please do correct me if I'm wrong.
Assigned,
Yeah.
I want to add to what you're saying, leadership assigned to male figures.
Definitely. Sure. And the last one, sure.
No, I'm a woman. I can talk about these things.
And the last one is, so it was work, socialized. Women don't trust themselves. Again, it probably stems from being socialized to thinking that you're less than. And all these three things are instituted by men.
Sure.
And I probably want to say this quickly. If I get into trouble, it's not just about it's about women, yes, but it's also about people who identify differently, who get paid less. It's a general human right that we have to really talk about and find a way forward for.
Just words to wrap up this discussion. I mean, we've just literally touched the tip of the iceberg. Is it worth teaching our girls to strategically look for opportunities that will ensure some semblance of higher pay?
Definitely, it is definitely worth it. I agree with you. And having said that, I want to say that for any norm to change, there has got to be sacrificial generation. And I believe that we are the sacrificial generation that is going to fight for those equalities so that our children and our young girls can then enjoy the benefits of being seen and paid as equal and capable.
Yeah. Sis Linda.
Yeah. In closing, my conclusion comes as a question. Eyokuthi economically, kade ukhuluma about ukuthi economies, countries where there are economies give females an opportunity to offer that education. Babanikeza opportunity in anything, for that matter, in terms of education, occupation, leadership roles. Look at them. Ilentozana, gap kubona less. What are we learning, Tina, as these countries lawa asene negap enkulu of wage? Are we, question number one for me is, are we giving, as an economy of South Africa, are we giving enough opportunities to the females as much as we're giving opportunities? And then we can drill it down to occupation, we can drill it down to education, drill it down to many spheres of it. I'm an electrician, so women work as twice as hard in many fields. And we're not saying we're equal in strength or in build, but in being capable of ukusebenza nokwazi ukwenza umsebenzi, then bese kuba ukuthi amandla ke where you will be short of, but the strength of power is even.
I love that. Are we given opportunities? That's the question. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I know you're tuned in, typing away. Continue the conversation on our comment section. And to my panelists, thank you so much. You've been an absolute great set of minds to chat to this evening. And remember, on YouTube, you have to click on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Igama lami uNomfundo, the dazzling Xaba. Until next time.